Man, I just wanted a T-shirt, man.
Well, good luck with that.
Woo! Well, I'll tell you who won today. The Wall won.
Wall didn't lose.
Wall did not lose.
Y'all might lost. But the Wall stays undefeated. The Wall's built different.
Spell on me. Fell on me, fell on me.
there's one more team that did it. Well, unfortunately, the Clippers finally lost here at Intuit Dome. Their 9 straight wins here at home comes to an end at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves as they would come in and put one on the Clippers, 108-80. Welcome into your postgame show. I'm Adam Osland. Coming up, we got your final box score and Clippers talk on AM 570 LA Sports, 866-987-2570. 866-987-2570. But first, back over to your radio voice of the Clippers in Carlo Jimenez. Carlo, this was a bit of Mama said there'd be days like this type of game from the Clippers. After winning 9 in a row here at Intuit Dome, maybe they were just due. Maybe they were just too undermanned and taking on a hot Minnesota Timberwolves team. Maybe all of the above, as Minnesota played fantastic basketball in this one, and the Clippers certainly didn't have their best.
No, and I give a lot of credit to this Clipper team, Adam, simply because they had gone 36 days without practicing, without having 2 days off, and they never really looked like that took a toll on them throughout this 21-game stretch. I mean, never felt like this group came out flat-footed until tonight. And maybe it was a little bit of those tired legs in what has been the most brutal stretch this season in the entire NBA. The Clippers have had the least amount of rest since October 29th. Not only are we past Halloween, we're past Thanksgiving. We're into December since the Clippers had more than 1 day off. And it felt like it kind of caught up to them today. Undermanned team. Norman Powell is usually a huge spark for them in games like this. No Norman Powell today, still dealing with that hamstring injury. For the Clippers, this is one of those where you just flush it, you move on. And look, you got the young guys a lot of minutes late down the stretch. Impressive stuff from Trenton Flowers, impressive stuff from Cam Christie in this game. I thought Bones Highland played excellent in his minutes. Good stuff by the Clippers to get those young guys in the game. And in an 82-game season, this is going to happen.
You're going to have some throwaway games, some burn the tape games, kill it with fire type of games. But at least for the young guys, both Trenton Flowers and Cam Christie getting their first buckets at this level in the National Basketball Association. And both came on nice throwdowns too, Carlo.
Yeah, a backdoor lob. Flowers almost kissed the rim with his two-handed flush. You know they give usually a G League guy a chance at the dunk contest.
Ooh,
I can see Trent Flower.
Mac McGlung, right?
That's what I'm saying. I can see Trent Flower's dunk contest. Cam Christie with the steal and the red carpet jam with a little two-handed finish. Impressive stuff from both those guys. Look, the Clippers were only outscored by 1 point in the second half, as Chris Taylor makes us sound really smart here on the broadcast, as they were able to outscore Minnesota by 8 in the fourth quarter. I thought the young guys fought in this game. Obviously, Minnesota took their foot off the gas a little bit, but it was impressive to watch them defensively put up that fight and offensively on the other end.
You mentioned everything going against the Clippers coming into this game, and maybe just some tired legs plus some guys missing, but hopefully a guy like Bones Highland can maybe shake the cobwebs out a little bit. And a performance like this, where he did knock down 5 3-pointers in his 22 minutes, can get him into a rhythm, because it looks like they might need him moving forward here for some more significant minutes as we approach, well, the midway point of December.
Yeah, and you think about the Terrence Mann injury, Adam, the reason why that's such a big one is when the Clippers were without KPJ, it felt like Terrence Mann was going to be that backup point guard, be that ball handler for them. Now, Kevin Porter Jr.'s injury is day-to-day, so hopefully next 3 days he can maybe get healthy enough to face his former employer in the Houston Rockets on Sunday. But still impressive stuff from the Clippers in this ball game. I think for Bones Highland, an opportunity to get run in. You're not going to look perfect when you come in every so often, every 5 to 10 games. We're seeing Highland on the hardwood, but he's able to get 19 minutes tonight, Adam, and hopefully that can speed up the process of him feeling acclimated with his teammates playing night in and night out.
And I say midway point of December, but it could be later than that because it looks like the injury with Terrence Mann and that left middle finger, that fractured left middle finger, it will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. So they could be missing him this entire month, but I think valuable minutes for the young guys, a learning experience, and maybe Bones Highland just trying to click in and find a rhythm for this Clippers team as they could use him moving forward with just having another playmaker out there. We don't know. It doesn't seem like it's serious with KPJ and that left ankle injury, but they're going to need somebody else out there who's just a shot creator and somebody that can pull up from three. We know Bones Highland does not shy away from those shots.
No. It took some tough step back threes and knocked them down today. Highland was able to display his range, his athletic ability, and his craftiness with the basketball. Thought he had a couple of nice passes as he was able to get downhill. Highland, who's been excellent for this Clipper team in games like this. I mean, think about the Washington game. He had 13 points in the blink of an eye in that fourth quarter. The Clippers see spurts of Bones Highland. I think that's why they keep going back to him, because every time he gets on the floor, Adam, there's a couple of plays where you say, all right, like this is somebody who could play at a very high level, especially on the offensive end. And then he makes a couple defensive deflections defensively. If Bones Highland can find a rhythm, he can be a crucial piece of this team. It's what Ty Lue said at training camp. He said, I see a path for Highland to be a part of this group. He showed it tonight. We'll see if the skeleton key gets more opportunities down the stretch, but impressive stuff from him. Great stuff from the young guys. For the Clippers, a lot of positives to take away in this one. Obviously, that first half a tough watch, but again, a team that hadn't had rest at all since October 29th.
Yeah, it felt like they hit the wall a little bit as the opposition was missing free throws against the wall late in this ball game. Was it 7 straight at one point for the Minnesota Timberwolves there?
Straight.
The wall doing some work. The Clippers may have lost this game, but the wall remains undefeated. Clippers, though, they do fall 108-80 here at home. Their first loss in their last 10 games here at Intuit Dome. They drop one to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And now the Clippers enter a phase in their schedule where they only have 3 games coming up in the next 13 days. It's not a mirage. It's not an oasis out in the desert, but it feels like that right now for a team that desperately needs to regroup and maybe just get a little bit more energy out there from some of the older veterans like James Harden. This could be something where it helps fuel them the rest of the season. It feels like another all-star break going on right now, Carlo.
It is a mini all-star break for this team, Adam. They're going to play 7 games from now until Christmas. So they have a real opportunity to kind of rest the legs, get in the ice bath, stretch out, feel like you can reboot, and then make the sprint to the all-star break through January and half of February. So it's an opportunity for this Clipper team to reevaluate. I think they've done a really good job, Adam. They didn't practice at all over the last month and a half, and yet they made great adjustments. They were clearly prepared for almost every game. So for this Clipper team, a golden opportunity here. We saw this at the beginning of the year last year. James Harden gets traded over. The Clippers in November had a very light month. They had multiple stretches of 4 days off. Were able to get Harden acclimated, and after starting slow with James Harden, it was off to the races in late November and into December. See if the Clippers can find that same type of boost. And as Kawhi Leonard creeps closer, hopefully all things said, we got the report from Law Murray that he is continuing to progress, no setbacks. That has to be positives for the Clippers, and maybe we see Kawhi soon.
Let's see if this Clippers team can rest up, get rejuvenated, and get after it against the Houston Rockets and Denver Nuggets in their next 2 games. Not going to be easy, but they do have 3 days off. Next game right back here at Intuit Dome on Sunday night. The Clippers out for revenge against the Houston Rockets, who beat them in that 2-game mini-series, both games in Houston just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Tip-off Sunday night is at 6 here at Intuit Dome. We'll have your pregame show right back here at 5. Carlo Jimenez, especially good call tonight. Considering the circumstances, appreciate you, my friend. Let's do it again on Sunday.
Appreciate you, Adam. Got another game on Sunday. Let's go.
Coming up next, get your earmuffs ready. We'll get your final box score as the Clippers lose 108-80 here at Intuit Dome to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network.
Thanks, Colin. Talk to you soon.
Guys, we're going to be with you till about 10:30 Pacific time here. So, a little bit of a shorter show, understandably. I know you guys were excited about Trenton Flowers, but as this team, when they get healthy, is still he's 19. Let's slow down a little bit. But I like what Rock said here. Flowers was the only good thing about this game. You're not wrong. He also said James Harden burnout is a real concern. David Hong said memory dump and erase on to the next one. Likely that's what Coach Lou is going to say post game. It's just one you got to put behind you. Mama said there'd be days like this. See, there's a lot less people in the chat tonight after this game as opposed to last night's game. I wonder why. Jay said this type of loss plus 3 days rest equals a win Sunday over Houston. Heard it here first. Let's go Clippers. Where's Sebastian Schweinsteiger? He said the Clippers were going to win easily tonight. It's like every time he does this, they get blown out. Huh. He said that at the very end of the pregame show. Check it out. He'll be nowhere to be found. Clippers with a painful loss here at Intuit Dome. Our largest defeat of the season. They lose by 28 here at home to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Final score 108-80. Actually, I believe the loss in Boston was by 32 in that ball game. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. After winning 9 straight here, the Clippers unfortunately couldn't get to double digits and couldn't get to that 10th win here at Intuit Dome, but it was a heck of a run, and the Wall was still performing late in the ball game. They got 7 straight misses on that side of the court at the free throw line for the Minnesota Timberwolves at one point. It was one of those games where the Clippers just started slow and could never get into gear. Again, without KPJ, without Terrence Mann, without Norman Powell, we knew it would be an uphill battle, but the Clippers came out and lost that first quarter 33-14. Just DOA. Just not executing on the offensive side, not getting stops on the defensive side. We know those two things go together. And when one is going wrong, it often affects the other. And both were going wrong for the Clippers in this one. It was a tough watch early on in that first quarter, especially where you just knew it may not be the Clippers' night. They were struggling offensively and defensively. They just didn't have the same pop out there. I'm wondering if Coach Lou is going to use that post game, one of those buzzwords that he likes to use when he's talking about them not having enough energy out there. But as Carlo Jimenez mentioned, this team had played the most games over the last 36 days. They played 21 ball games. It's tough. And at some point, maybe they were going to hit the wall. Maybe this was inevitable. Maybe it was just the right number of circumstances and variables with all the guys being out. And it all equals a 28-point loss at home to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who beat them 93-92. That would be last Friday in Minnesota. We were hoping for a little bit of revenge. Instead, it was, well, a much worse loss in a fashion that I don't think anyone expected tonight. It would be tough for this Clippers team with the guys that were out, but they shot under 35% from the field. They shot just 11 of 40 from the outside. It was inconsequential time, basically, from midway through the second quarter. This Clippers team just stuck in mud on the offensive end, and defensively wasn't good enough on that end. And Minnesota, to their credit, guys, they've won 3 games in a row now since Anthony Edwards called them out for being soft. This is a guy who's a young leader in this league, and obviously it didn't fall on deaf ears. Since then, they have responded defensively. They have been much better on that end, and the Clippers had a really difficult time getting into their offense. They were fronting Ivica Zubats at times. They were doubling on the ball handler, and the Clippers' passes and really focus just wasn't where it needed to be. They lost by 28, final score 108-80 in favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coming up, more post game right here in your Clippers Locker Room Show on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. What's up? Who's check, 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 check. Art, what world are you living in where they could get Jordan Clarkson for PJ and Bones? I just don't understand what some of these trades are. That's a timeout. I'm not in the mood. Alfie. Guys, I think if there was a trade out there for PJ Tucker and Bones Highland that made sense, that made this Clippers team better, it would have happened by now. Maybe on December 15th, when more guys' contracts are able to be traded, something happens. But every loss, I see the same stuff in here. Trade this guy, panic. We got to play Trenton Flowers now. Let's not overreact too much. They had won 8 of 10 heading into this ball game. They were missing 3 key guys. Minnesota is playing good basketball again. I'm not playing around. I'm sorry. I'm not in the mood. Why would I be? Clippers just lost by 28 here, and it was over midway through the second. I am not in the mood, guys. Clippers lose big at home to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Final score, T-Wolves 108, your Clippers 80. Tough on Clipper Nation after they had won 9 straight here at Intuit Dome. Wanted to see them get some retribution and revenge on the Minnesota Timberwolves after that 1-point loss Friday night in Minnesota. Not to be. Clippers ball club came out flat. Weren't good enough on either end. Things compounded from there. They were down 33-14 after the first quarter. At the half, it was 59-32. The Clippers down by 27, and nobody had it going. James Harden started 0 for 7. Jordan Miller started 1 for 5. The only guy, the lone bright spot, maybe Derek Jones Jr. I thought he played hard, but it would be the young guys later in the game that we kind of turn to for some silver linings. Just getting to watch Trenton Flowers out there, getting to see Cam Christie. Both those two guys, their first buckets at the NBA level, dunks, and Cam Christie would hit a three-pointer too. There's not a lot to take away from a game like this. It is a turn the page, burn it situation. It's not representative of who this Clippers team is. But we'll unpack it coming up on Clippers Talk. Outside of Los Angeles, we are leaving you until Sunday night when the Clippers take on the Houston Rockets right back here at Intuit Dome. Tip-off is at 6, pregame at 5 in LA. Don't go anywhere. We got Clippers Talk next. You guys really want me to do a Clippers Talk after dark after this? Huh? Big Bro said the whole game was dark. I agree, Cap. There was no spark. Long seasons, sometimes you have these games. They've earned the grace that one of these games are going to happen. I completely agree with this. Guys, this doesn't need to be they make a trade situation because they lost badly to Minnesota after winning 8 of 10. Like, there is no panic after a game like this. I'm sorry. You have to have some perspective and a bird's eye view of where they are on this season at 14-10. Still, they're getting 3 days off. Nobody had played more games than the Clippers. Last 36 days, 21 games. Sista One says, get some rest, Adam. No need for after dark tonight. Got to let this game dissipate into thin air. Others upset with Sebastian Schweinsteiger, understandably, who keeps saying the Clippers are going to blow out a team, and then they are the ones getting blown out. Chad, I'm with you. As happens. Tom Van Dyke, I agree. No pride, double A. You are still made of awesome. Nico, my cousin, is here, said when our offense isn't there, usually our defense keeps us in it. When our defense isn't there, I read you, Nico. Daniel said, every team has blowouts. It's understandable. No reason to panic yet. Thank you. David Honk said, Clipsland posted on X about the Clippers being down 50 at the half against Dallas in December of 2020. Totally forgot about that brain fart game. I remember it. They lost by 51. It was the worst loss in franchise history. I was there. Did it amount to anything? No. They went to the Western Conference Finals that year. Clippers lose badly. After winning 9 straight here at Intuit Dome, they fall 108-80 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Welcome in. I'm Adam Oslin. This is Clippers Talk on AM 570 LA Sports. Clippers dropped to 14-10. Minnesota improves to 11-10. If you'd like to get on tonight, 866-987-2570. 866-987-2570 is the phone number. Can't imagine we're going to have a ton of calls after this one. I don't want to say it's meaningless. It's one of 82. But I will say this. It's not representative of who this Clippers team have been over the last 2.5 weeks. They won 8 of 10 heading into this game. And maybe it was a little bit deflating after what happened last night. Terrence Mann fractured his left middle finger. He'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. And then you find out Norman Powell's going to be out, managing that left hamstring injury. He's only played 2 games since he came back, and this is the second night of a back-to-back. KPJ is still out too. And all this could just amount to a scheduled loss. Was it a very bad scheduled loss? Yes. Could have been worse. They could have lost by 41, but that's neither here nor there. This is deflating to some, discouraging to some. Some are going to say it's frustrating. They didn't show up. I just think they ran into the wrong team at the wrong time as Minnesota's playing great basketball, and the Clippers didn't have enough firepower with them. And yeah, they came out flat. I didn't like the spirit or the energy they were playing with, but some of it was give credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were completely locked in. The antithesis of the Clippers. And their defense looks to be back. I told you before the season I thought they'd still be a top 5 defensive team. Even if they're not the best defensive team like they were last season, they still have all the talent to be a top 5 defensive team. Well, they were 7th heading into this one. And after the Clippers were held to 80 points, just like they held the Lakers to in their last win on Monday, Minnesota might be back in the top 5 when it comes to defensive rating. So, Clipper Nation, rinse this one, flush it, burn the tape, kill it with fire, except for what we saw and what we saw from Trenton Flowers and Cam Christie. 2 young guys getting called up from the G League out of necessity because the Clippers just didn't have enough bodies. And they got run. Cam Christie got run in the first half. And he ended up getting a steal and a dunk for his first points as an NBA player. Trenton Flowers Cut an alley-oop in the fourth quarter, I believe, from Bones Highland for his first points as an NBA player. Congratulations to those two young guys. Much more to come. Thought Trenton Flowers played pretty well. The guy was just in attack mode over and over again. Looking to yam and dunk on guys. You could see the spry, live body. The athleticism was on display. Went 4 of 9, 9 points. Just attacking the rim. Missed a couple of three-pointers. He's been shooting it well in the G League. But this was one of those nights where the Clippers just have to regroup and they have 3 days off to do so. Get rejuvenated. You got the Houston Rockets Sunday night, right back here at Intuit Dome, a team that beat you twice in Houston. Don't let this one linger. Don't dwell on this loss. This was somewhat expected from some, considering how shorthanded the Clippers were. To this degree, no, I didn't expect this. I thought they'd compete. I thought they'd play better. I thought they'd be able to get the ball to Ivica Zubac more. They couldn't. Carlo brought it up. Minnesota did a good job fronting him. And also the entry passes were pretty poor, I thought. Ivica Zubac in the first half just got up 3 shots, was 2 of 3. James Harden started 0 of 7. What did he end up finishing at? 1 for 10, 1 of 6 from 3. You read that stat line where he also has more turnovers than assists for the 3, and you can understand how this one got way out of hand. Where at one point, I was afraid the Clippers were going to set the franchise record for the worst loss. I was at that game. They lost by 51 back in 2020 during the 2021 season to the Dallas Mavericks at home. Did it amount to anything? Not really. They ended up beating Dallas in the first round, and they went to the Western Conference Finals. It was 1 of 82. Nobody remembered that. I'm hoping we're not going to remember this one as some game that has the Clippers spiraling out of control and heading towards a losing streak because of it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I expect them to play much better against the Houston Rockets on Sunday. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back. Clippers fall by 28 here at Intuit Dome with a final score of 108-80 in favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to AM 570 LA Sports. If you're standings watching this early into the season, guys, like they were 5th earlier tonight, they lose a game and now they're 7th. It's going to fluctuate so much. I like this from Art H, who had a ridiculous trade request earlier, but now he's like, I'm excited for Cam Christie's future. Me too. Rock said, that was my thing, Adam. Fronting Zubac shouldn't be the only reason he's not getting more shots up. We know some of the entry passes are going to be bad, or Zoo won't hold down his position. Like, it can be both. Ivica Zubac's not fighting well enough for the basketball. The entry pass is not being good. Cap said Harden's legs were gone tonight. He's 35, not surprising. Second half of back-to-back. He's been playing heavy minutes. He just played an entire second half on Sunday. There's a tax to be paid when you're redlining that much. Alfie said Zoo will go off on Sunday. Mark it. Just don't be like Bastian Schweinsteiger and not show up if that doesn't happen. Capra said, oh, I just read that. Tom Van Dyke said, after playing 24 games, most in the Western Conference, 2 days off, 4 days off, 3 days off, 3 days off, plus 3 days off over Christmas. I think Carlos said they got 7 more games left in December. There's a lot of time off. But 3 games in the next 13 days, guys. They're going to get right. Trust me. MKXLNT said, we got riggedy wrecked, Morty. 3 days off coming up. That's great news. I got you, Rock. You made some good points. See if I can find some post game quotes coming out, guys. This is a good quote post game after the Clippers lose by 28 to the Minnesota Timberwolves here at Intuit Dome. Ty Lue, quote, unlike Mike Malone, I'm flushing it. Mike Malone recently didn't want to flush a game after they got wiped out, I think, by the New York Knicks, the Denver Nuggets. Coach Lue is just burning the tape with this one, guys, and moving on, as I think the Clippers should, because I don't think there's a lot to learn from this one outside of they got some young talent in Trenton Flowers, in Cam Christie. And this is interesting. Tyronn Lue had an interesting comparison and a comp for Trenton Flowers. He said, Sean Marion, that's his ceiling of who he could be. I like hearing that. We'll take that, chat. Welcome back in. This is Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. Appreciate you guys hanging with me on a night like this where the Clippers' winning streak here at Intuit Dome, 9 straight, comes to an end. They couldn't get to double digits, but still appreciate Clipper Nation in the house, the Clippers faithful, the wall making noise late, getting the Chick-fil-A. They got 7 straight misses at one point in the fourth quarter by the Minnesota Timberwolves at the free throw line. That is impressive. Hey, Clippers may have lost. The wall remains undefeated. Daniel says, Zoo hasn't looked good out there now for 3 straight games. Clip's going to need him against the Rockets. I agree with this. Whether it's Big Zoo not demanding the basketball enough, them not getting him involved enough, but I'm going to say this. I think a lot of it is just his touch around the basket hasn't been as sharp the last 3 games. First against Jokic, who he's normally very good against. Then last night against Ayton, who has been eaten off the plate of Ivica Zubac for a little bit now. And then tonight, the Clippers got blitzed and ambushed early on and were at such a disadvantage. It kind of got them out of their offense. And I thought they did a good job, Minnesota, of just defending the Clippers' option. And we thought they would go to Ivica Zubac early. But those post-entry passes, when Zoo's being doubled and fronted, it's tough to make them. I think the Clippers could have been better in that area, and they had some really nasty turnovers. But Ivica Zubac, it's just a two-pronged thing going on. They got to be better featuring him. He's got to be better making his shots. So it's never one thing, guys. David Hong said, if we can rest and get a practice in to prep for Houston, that would be a real barometer. Let's go to Gene from North Carolina. Gene, you're on Clippers Talk with Adam Osland after they lose badly here at Intuit Dome to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Hi, Gene. What up, Gene? What do you want to say? I'll talk to our promotions guy. We'll see if we can right that wrong. KPJ. Yeah, I like that point, Gene. I think you're actually spot on. I think that's part of the problem. KPJ is just a bigger body out there. He's a better athlete. He can defend. He can rebound a little bit more. And Bones does look for his shot a lot. He's hunting for an off the bounce 3-point shot. And I'll give him credit to a degree. He went 5 of 10 from the outside, and he ended up leading them with 18 points. But a lot of that was during inconsequential time because by the time he came into the ball game, the Clippers were down by 20. But that's who Bones Highland is. He is a score first backup point guard, I think, in this league. And I think he's a legit NBA player that could average 15 a night off the bench in the right situation, but it's not happening right now with this Clippers team. However, they could use him moving forward. Gene, I appreciate the phone call. We'll see what develops with Bones Highland over this stretch with Terrence Mann out. We'll see how much longer KPJ is going to be out because they have looked like they obviously need another creator out there. So if KPJ is still out, we know Terrence Mann is going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. We got that from Lyle Murray earlier, and he joined me on the pregame show. So they need somebody. I hope Bones Highland can kind of shoot himself out of the slump he's been in, but also just find a rhythm out there in the flow of the offense. So he's not just shot hunting and he's trying to get others involved because he is a good passer. There are times where this is somebody that can run the high pick and roll. He can find his big man. He can make the game easier for others. But right now, probably leaning a little too far into just looking to score out there. We'll see what happens on Sunday night. We'll take a quick timeout here on Clippers Talk. We'll come back after the Clippers lose 108-80 here at Intuit Dome to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to AM 570 LA Sports. Yeah, guys, the schedule has been brutal, unforgiving, and the Clippers have navigated well enough to be 14-10. Let's not ignore everything we've seen over the last month because the Clippers got blown out tonight. I'm not going to do that. Can't overreact. If the Clippers beat Houston on Sunday night, how much did this loss mean? If they bounce back right away, if they look fresh after 3 days off. I got a lot of faith in this squad being able to respond after a game like this. I do. Even though it can be dispiriting to see your team get blown out like this. Colin, do we got one more break? Can we just attach it to the end and make this the last segment? If not, it's fine. Okay, it's all good. I'll come back, talk for 2 minutes, break, keep chatting it up with the chat. You want to do that then? I'll just take it to 10:30 here. All right, cool. We not overreacting tonight, chat. Clippers fall by 28 here at Intuit Dome. The fortress was finally breached after they had won 9 straight here in their new and first home. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Talk. 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570. Really, the game was over after Minnesota had a 35-7 run during a 9-minute stretch between the first and the second quarter. Clippers couldn't get anything to go on one end, couldn't get stops on the other end. It was a hard watch. I understand. You might be down about this one, Clipper Nation, but look big picture. This team is 14-10 with having one of the toughest schedules, with having already played. Guys, half of their games have been in a back-to-back scenario. 12 of their 24 games have either been a game on the front end of a back-to-back or the second game of a back-to-back. Half their games have been within the parameters of a back-to-back so far. Has anybody else had that in the NBA? Somehow, I doubt it. But the Clippers score a season low, 80 points in the game. Bones Highland did have a season high with 18. He was the leading scorer for the Clippers tonight. Julius Randle had 16 of his 20 points in the first quarter, by the way, and was hitting everything. He hit 4 3-pointers in the first quarter, I want to say. And the Minnesota Timberwolves came out hot, ready to go, focused, and they made it 3 wins in a row. And all 3 over teams from LA. They just held both LA teams to 80 points in back-to-back games. Monday against the Lakers, they held them to 80. Tonight against the Clippers in LA, they hold your Los Angeles Clippers to 80 points. But I'm just not going to overreact to something like this. I can't. We've had too much evidence that this Clippers team, that this performance is not indicative of who they are as a squad. This is not who they are. Do they have to prove it to you again? Okay. Well, they got a big one coming up Sunday night against the Houston Rockets, who have gotten the best of them twice. And Houston's playing like best team in the West. They've looked that good so far this season. They're right behind OKC in the standings. They got the number 2 seed. They got a bunch of young, athletic guys. They give the Clippers a lot of problems. They pose a lot of problems to this Clippers team. I just want to see a higher level of energy, effort, and a better spirit being played with out there by the Clippers. That competitive integrity has to be intact. And I think it will be. Coach Lou said post-game, we're flushing it. They're not going to dwell on this. They're not going to try to figure out what went wrong in a game like this. It's pretty understandable. It's pretty explainable. Clippers were missing 3 key guys. Second night of a back-to-back. Played 21 games the last 36 days. The tank was empty. But they're going to refuel over the next 3 days. They're going to recharge. They're going to regroup and be rejuvenated. I fully believe there's going to be a great effort here against Houston on Sunday night. I'm not overly concerned by this. It's an aberration. It's an outlier game. There's not a lot you can put into losses like this when you've seen so much to contradict how the Clippers team has played tonight. Daniel said, it's obvious Bones has talent, but I feel his time in LA is done. Unless Clips have continuous injuries, he's not getting a run. Well, it turns out they do at the moment. If KPJ is not back on on Sunday night against Houston, I expect Bones to play again. He at least knocked down 5 3-pointers. I think all of them came off the bounce. It's not easy. But Coach Lou wants a playmaker and a shot creator out there because they've had some real lulls offensively without those guys. And maybe you are seeing a case being built for why KPJ is so important to this team right now without him. It's just hard for them to get into their offense, to initiate stuff. And I'm hoping Bones can shake out the cobwebs a little bit tonight with this performance and just getting to play heavier minutes. And there is a better Bones Highland, a version of him coming on Sunday night should he get minutes against the Houston Rockets. And one more time before we get out of here, congrats to Cam Christie and Trenton Flowers. Welcome to the league. They both get their first points as players in the National Basketball Association. Clippers lose, though. Final score 108-80 here at Intuit Dome to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before we get out of here, I do want to thank the Clippers organization. Ralph Lawler, Brian Seaman, Noah Eagle, Carlo Jimenez on the call. Our lead statistician tonight, Chris Taylor. Our head engineer, Big Brother Jake Warner. Dennis D'Agostino, we miss you. And if I had a better stat tonight, we would have the Dennis D'Agostino stat of the night. But unfortunately, just a lot of lowlights for this Clippers team. But believe me, if there's one thing we know about this squad, is that they have a great ability to bounce back. Coach Lou knows how to get the Men in Black neuralizer out there or whatever it is to wipe the memory, clear the mechanism, turn the page, and move forward. And they'll be ready Sunday night against the Houston Rockets. A big thanks goes out to Colin Yee, C. Yeezy, our producer the last couple of games. We don't deserve him, but we're happy to have him. Colin, thank you. Until Sunday night, with the Clippers tipping off against the Houston Rockets right back here at Intuit Dome at 6 p.m. and your pregame show starting at 5. I'm Adam Osland. We will talk to you then. Thanks, Colin.